Hey guys, this video wasn't actually planned, so this kind of came off as a request from one of my subscribers. He basically asked if I can make a video about how to make some more realistic looking walls. Now for this, even though it does really seem like it's a very simple job or simple task, it can have some difficulties when you're trying to tackle something like this, especially if you want to make a high resolution image. Now for this, I'm gonna reuse this scene for the third time, so there we go. It's basically exactly the same scene from the previous video about the floor we had. I'm gonna leave a link so you can get it from there. So basically we have simple multi-sub-object material with the floor, the ceiling, and the walls. The render looks like this for now, so it's just like the previous video. So I'm going to just continue building on this scene. So as it is right now, this scene doesn't look bad because the lighting is okay, and we have some very nice reflection coming off from the wall, from the bottom of the floor, and lighting up the entire scene. But if you take a look closer to the walls, you're going to notice that they're just basically paint or color. And they're not even paint, even because if this wall was painted, you would be able to see some small places like indentions where the brush strokes were done, but here you see nothing. And this is kind of breaking the illusion and breaking the realism of the scene. So let's go ahead and try to make this wall a little bit more realistic. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to access the material that we are using for the walls. As it is right now, it's a basic white material, so nothing has been added to it. The color segment of it, the thing that you can see, this looks like it's a bit orange. It's coming from the floor, but let's just go ahead back to the floor. I'm going to turn off the maps for the floor because I don't want to have any color coming on the wall, so you can see it better what we're doing. Let me show you how this thing looks right now. Render. There it is. This is our scene right now. So as you can see, very plain, nothing added. So the first thing I want to do is access my walls. And now, once I'm here, I'm not going to touch the diffuse for now. I'm going to go scroll downwards, go to the maps section. Now, in the maps section, I want to add a bump map to this wall. So in order to get a bump map that would be useful for a wall, I'm simply going to go open Google Maps and go down and type in wall bump, and I can add seamless to the phrase. Now whenever you click and you type in seamless, there's a pretty good chance that Google already has a map that has been worked in Photoshop, and you can just download it and not have to worry about making it seamless. But be cautious, because sometimes even though it does say seamless, it's not. So let's go ahead and just select one of these maps. So let me just see. Another thing that I want to mention is when you're looking for maps, make sure you get a nice resolution maps. For example, I can see this one over here is 2000 by 2000. That's a good resolution, but just in case you're sure, you can go over to advanced search, and from here you can go over where it says image size and make it larger than 2 megapixels. This way you annihilate any chance that you're going to be stuck with a small image. It just negates them. So let's choose one of these. Let's find, well, let's see, this one looks okay. Yeah, this one looks more like a wall. So I'm gonna go view image. I'm gonna save the image and call it wall bump and save it. Now, just so I'm on the safe side, I'm gonna go open Photoshop and take that wall bump map, put it in here, And now I'm gonna go filter other offset, and I can see that even though I've offsetted it, I have no visible seams in the middle, which means this is a perfectly good seamless texture. Now what I want to do here is, seeing as how I'm not going to use this for diffuse, but I'm going to be using it for a bump map, I want to desaturate it. So Control Shift U will desaturate it. It's going to make it black and white. So I'm going to go File, Save As, so wall bump, lowercase, black and white, or BW, or just call it bump. Well, wall bump won't work, so black and white. Save. All right, and let's go back to Max. All right, now that we're here, I want to take, all right, let me just get this over here. I want to take this black and white wall bump we made and just drag it into the bump slot over here. I'll turn this away, lower this, and click so you can access the bump. Click on the Show Shaded Material in Viewport so you can see how big it is. I'm gonna try and increase the tiling till it's something more manageable, something that I like. Yeah, I think this is gonna look just fine for now. All right, back, and let's render out this region over here and see how this wall is gonna look like right now. Take into account that by default this is set as at 30, but if I put it at 30 like this and render, you're gonna notice that there is some bump happening in the scene, but it's very, very, very weak, and it's barely noticeable. In my case, I want to amplify that so I can go either 60 or 90. I'm going to go 90 and re-render. And now I can see that my wall is starting to get some realistic looking bumpiness into it. So we are not at the beginning where we started. We had just a plain color. We now have some details in the wall. So that's with the first layer of having a bump to this wall. So now let's see how we can make this even more realistic by adding more details to this wall. So the way to make this more realistic would be to change our V-Ray material, the one that we are working right now, from a V-Ray material down to a V-Ray blend material. Now this V-Ray blend material is going to allow us to take multiple materials and blend them together so we can get a higher detail or higher quality material, something like this. And once we click it, we are gonna get this replace material. I want to keep my old material as a sub material, so click OK, and we get this. So now this is what I want to do. First of all, where it says coat materials, I'm gonna press on the none, and here input one very simple V-Ray material. There we go. Now in here I'm gonna scroll down to where it says bump map. Now for this second layer or first layer for this material, I want to go ahead and get another image from Google. Now for this image, I'm not going to be looking for a bump map, but rather I'm going to go with something like, let's go with damaged wall. Something that's going to give us some variety. Let's see if we can find something interesting. Damaged wall, scroll down. All right, this looks interesting. All right, let's click and see what this is. Okay. All right, I'm gonna save this image right here. I'm gonna save image and call it damage wall. All right, back to Max. All right, And now click and drag the damaged wall image into the bump slot over here. And click on the show shaded material in viewport. Now right away it's going to show me a wall that's really up and damaged, something like this. But seeing as how this is not in the diffuse channel, but it's actually in the bump, it's only gonna give it the bumpiness. So I'm gonna again increase this to 90 and go back to parent. Now take a look at what will happen when I render out the same region of the wall, this time with our coat material and the wall material. I'm gonna render, and this is how my wall is looking right now. As you can see, we've retained the details that are coming from the original bump map, but since we are using a blend material, now on top of that bump, we've added the bumpiness from the second or the damaged wall material. So it's looking like this. Now, you have a way to control which bump map prevails and which one is with a lighter or more, well, let's see, with a weaker result. Now, the way to control this is by controlling the blending amount. For example, by default, this thing is mixed at 50%, which means 50% of the original bump map is coming through and 50% is being mixed with the bump map of the damaged wall. For example, if I want to get stronger results for the bottom one, I'll probably just go something like this for the white. And now when I render, I can see that the majority of the big ridges or the shallower bumpiness from the original map is less visible, while the bigger indentations coming from the damaged wall are clearly more visible. And likewise, if I make this more towards black, all the damage from the second material is going to be less visible. So I'm just going to turn off the render region and render out the entire thing this time around. So render, and there we go. Now we're starting to get some nice looking results. We have the base bumpiness from the map that we made. Now we have some nice ridges coming from the damaged wall. So let's go one more level and add one more V-Ray material. And this time around though, I'm going to choose another texture from Google, and I'm going to go ahead and just simply go brush strokes wall, something like this. And let's see if this is going to work. Yep, this is going to work because we can basically see a lot of the strokes that were made while this wall was painted. So save image, brush wall. All right, go back here, third material. In the bump slot, again, I'm going to increase it to 90 and just drag in the texture from it, the brushed wall texture. Let's see how it looks like. Yeah, I like it this way. All right. Now, this is mixed at 50%, so let's see how it looks like before we start doing anything else to it. So render. And this is how it's looking right now. So if we take a look closer, we can see that some of those brush strokes that we had in the map are clearly visible here. And depending on what kind of wall we want to have for our scene, we can control how strong those brush strokes are going to be, again, by simply dragging this slider of the whiteness. If I want to get stronger brush strokes, I'm gonna get it towards white. If I want a weaker ones, I'm gonna get it towards black. So with this, I'm starting to get some nice results for my wall. So if you take a look at from where we started, in the beginning we had a plain paint or plain color, and where we are right now, you're gonna notice that we have improved our wall considerably. Now I can call it finished, or just call it quits and end the video here, but I want to go ahead and show you one more trick that you can use if you have a wall that's inside an old place or old building or an old house or something like that. So let's say you want to have some damage to this wall. The way you would input damage is basically the same way that we made the bumpiness to the wall. So I'm just gonna go over and add a new material, again a V-Ray material, and this time around gonna go back to maps, and in here, so back to Google and just type in some wall damage. Let's see if we can find something interesting. Nope. Let's look around. Just the thing is, whenever you're working with something like this, you want to find something that's gonna make your textures look interesting and not just put anything in it. So just try and find something interesting. Let me get something. Well, let me just pause this for a second. I'll be back with you guys in a second as soon as I find something decent. Alright, so we went from wall damage to damaged wall, and behold, we found something interesting. Alright, this might work for us, but no, I think this is going to be even better. Yep. View image. Alright, save this as wall damage. Awesome. Alright, now in the wall damage, again, I'm gonna go and get it down to the bump map and get the bumpiness up to like 90. And with this, I want to make sure that this is coming a bit stronger. So to the white, I'm gonna go and render this for a second and see how it's looking for now. So render, and this is how it's looking right now. So not much has changed from the previous steps, but in this case now I'm gonna go ahead and get back into our material, and I'm gonna change the color. So for the diffuse, I'm gonna either go and change it to a color, or in the diffuse map, I'm gonna drop in the actual map. So this map is gonna go inside the diffuse map. But now, if I render this, we're gonna be stuck with a problem, as you're gonna see it right now. I'm gonna render it one more time. And the problem, as you might see, is that even though we have a bump map and everything set to the third coat material, because all the previous ones are base color. This is the first one that has a bump, or actually a diffuse map. The diffused channel is dominant, and we can see that everything here is basically received from this diffuse. So this is not what I want. I want to keep the original color and get the diffused section, or this color, only in the places where we have the cracks of the wall. So in order to do this, I'm gonna have to use a mask that is going to tell my wall where I wanna have the original color and where I wanna have my damage coming through. And this is really not that difficult to do, even though it does sound complicated. All you gotta do is get back into Photoshop. Now here, get the wall damage texture, come in here, desaturate it. So again, Control Shift U. There we go. Now we have no color. It's been desaturated. And I just want to increase the level. So Control M. For some reason, it doesn't like to work when I'm recording. So I'm going to go over here and click here and increase the curves. And with the curve, I want to get something like this. So just make it so it's very, very contrasty. There we go. Something like this. Edit, save as, and call it wall damage mask. All right. So back to max. All right. So here where it says none, all you gotta do is now take our mask, the white, black and white mask, and put it in here. So make it so it's a visible one. And now we can see some black and white. All right, now I'm gonna render and see how my scene is gonna look now. And here we are. We've got a really, not a destroyed, but a very, very used wall. And we can see that it looks like it had some color on it, but it has been worn out from time. So back again. Now we can see the entire texture here, right? The entire material. We have the base, then we have two codes that basically control how much bumpiness we're gonna have, and the third code is controlling the bumpiness of the damage as well as the color, which is again controlled by the mask. So now if we go back and get to the floor and get the maps visible again and re-render, we're gonna get the final output of this room. So let's see how it's gonna look like. So this is how our scene is looking right now. So from where we started and where we are now, you can see we have a lot of difference. And the reason, the main reason why you would do something like this is that you would have total control over how your bumpiness of your walls are gonna look like. So for example, maybe on a renderer like this, really doesn't make too much of a difference, or really doesn't have too big of an impact. But when you're rendering on resolutions that are 4K or maybe even 8K, you're gonna see a lot of difference, especially when you zoom in and you take a look at the details. So just before I finish this video, I'm gonna go ahead and actually do this. I'm gonna close the aspect of the image, and from 1000 by 700, I'm gonna increase it to 5000 and render out an output scene like this so we can actually see the end result better. So render production, and I'll be back as soon as this thing is finished, which should take some time, seeing as how it's going to be a high quality image. So let's go. Alright, so I kind of had to stop because even though on your side it looks like I just clicked a button and then it stopped, in reality over an hour passed and well, the render is still not finished. I really don't need to finish it because the majority of the details I want to show you guys, I can already see it in this image. Now, as you can see, this is a 5000 by 3500 resolution. So when I get closer, now you can see all of those details that we added in the wall. I can see the basic bump map. I can see where the brush strokes came through. And from what we saw previously, like when we go in our ceiling, we can control exactly how strong right? Not the ceiling, but the walls, exactly how strong those bump maps are going to be by controlling directly the blend amount. And on top of it all, I can even see all of those little details that are coming from the mask that we chose. And with that, let me go. Now you can see we get all those details coming in. All right. So with this, I would like to finish up with this video, and I hope you guys liked it and also you managed to learn something new. And well, if you did like it, then like it, subscribe, comment, and share it around so we can reach more people. And also, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to leave your comment, and maybe if I got some time free, I can make a video about whatever it is that's plaguing you on your projects, or maybe it's something you want to know. So in any case, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.